bam, do that. So I wanted to first of all, welcome the viewing audience. Uh, and let me say from the offset, this is a young brother that he's not only someone that we can look at as a role model, but he's definitely someone I've been watching and grew up with. Uh, and he's, I think, a perfect example of someone who learns quick, quick on his feet. And I just want to say on the offset, I'm proud of him. This is Kareem Mayfield, hard hitting Mayfield, hard hitter Mayfield. And we want to welcome
Yeah,
on the
buddy.
podcast show. Uh, and like always, if you like this video or any other video, just go ahead and click like and subscribe to the channel because we got more interviews like this coming up in the future, including more with even Kareem and other people. So let me just jump right into it. What's going on, my brother Kareem Mayfield? How you doing, sir? Can you hear me? I think it's a little
Continue to
delay.
grow in life in some aspect.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you are an outright legend in our area when it comes to not just business, boxing. I mean, you wear a lot of hats. But before we get into all that, tell the people a little bit about you, the person, your family, and a little background on how did you get become Kareem Mayfield.
Hey, is the audio pretty clear?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So, um, me, as a person, I am Kareem Hard Hitter Mayfield, born and raised in the city, San Francisco, California, the Fillmore District, District 5, Western Addition, Harlem of the West, whatever you want to call it. We call it Fillmore. And I had come up there with had a lot of family members come up in the area. We all grew up in the area. I came up around the in the area with in the area during the time of the war on drugs. So as we know how those neighborhoods usually look like and the outcome of uh, uh, my peers were weren't good, and like I came up around the time where there was a lot going on in Fillmore. We definitely had good times, but it was one era when they began. It just started I mean, I felt like it was eras. There's always been eras of violence, gun violence, what have you. Then there will go a time without it, but then I
Oh, I don't know what happened, but you back on. You back on.
was that me or you?
Yeah,
Was that me or your
I don't
phone?
know, it just dropped you off, but yeah, it could have been me or you. You back on, Doc, I can hear you.
You know what? Is it that's you said or mine? Who is
I
mine?
think
I'm gonna go
I
right
don't.
here.
Oh, okay, okay, good.
I'm just gonna go right here, yeah, to this Wi-Fi right across the street. Hold on.
Go. Yeah, this is but we really appreciate Kareem taking time out because we know, like many of us, we got a
There.
schedule of many things happening. A little better.
Is that better?
Wi-Fi connection. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah, man. But shall I begin that over or what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Just pick up where you left off. You good?
Oh, so I came up in that era where you know, it was a lot of like I mentioned, there was some good things and there was bad things, but I actually started boxing around the era when a lot more gun violence picked up, and you know, that for the most part made me I guess stay focused, and it kept me just driven to do something, you know, I guess so to speak, make it out, you know. And it just kept me it was able to I was able to channel a lot of that energy that I had, you know, that maybe I would have used somewhere else, you know. I was never a malice guy, never had a malice mentality, but you know, a lot of times you're influenced by your peers, and um, as I mentioned, kind of jumping from one place to another. You know, I started boxing because they had opened up a boxing gym right in the neighborhood, and it was during a time several months before my best friend Dustin Thomas was murdered, and I had went to go check out the gym, and fell in love with the sport for the most part. I had sparred someone that day. I asked to spar. The OG told me he didn't want me to spar. He wanted me to learn the jab. I'm like, nah, man, let me fight, dude. And he put me in there. First of all, he told me it was nobody my weight. You know, in the hood, we ain't no weight classes. I mean, anybody can get it. So he was like, all right,
Right.
do a big dude Samoan cat in there, like, and I dropped him like 3 times. And yeah, so he stopped that and was like, oh man, you got to continue to come, man. I ain't gonna change nothing about you. But going back to my you know, my friend being murdered, that actually, like, opposed to, you know, as I mentioned, using that energy to go towards more negativity, you know, more senseless violence, I used it to drive me to, you know, get to where I was able to get to, you know, my goals at the time. So yeah, if that answers the question.
Absolutely. So, Kareem, what was your influence like? Because I know, so growing up in Fillmore or Frisco, you know, we have tremendous poverty and issues in the Black community. So, what was education and what was that like growing up as a teenager?
Right. Well, education for me was the, you know, just general education as far as going to the basic public schools. I went to um, George Washington High School, so the Dub man for my Dub man. Um, um, uh,
Egos.
Eagles, yes, the Eagles. But unfortunately, you know, due to, I guess, not being on my shit, I ended up having to go to. I didn't graduate from there. I ended up graduating from Ida B. Wells, and you know,
Right.
everybody knows where everybody Ida B. Wells is, and it's a
Right.
historic park actually in the area. But anyway, so and coming up though, around that time though, I was I'm sorry, I lost your question. My apologies. Uh, no, hold on.
Yeah, not just so you know,
I'm sorry. No.
you went to Wash and
Somebody
Ida
talking to
B.
me. Hold
Wells,
on.
like you just
I'm on the phone. Thank you.
like Ida B. Wells, which we all know was kind of like the continuation school for
Correct.
Philmonians, right?
Mhm.
What was what was what was you know, I know it was a struggle, it was difficulties because on
Oh
one
yeah, yeah.
hand
Okay.
you
What
want
was
to
the
get out of
education?
school.
Right, right. So yeah, I went from school. Yeah. So um, as I mentioned, the basic continuation schools that have you, but education, I say for me, or not education, I say knowledge. Because it was educating in some aspect, but you know, I learned a lot from my grandmother. My grandmother Elizabeth Chambers, she taught me a whole lot. You know, and she, for the most part, taught me about myself, as in, you know, that you know, where we come from. You know, as far as our lineage. You know, and just knowing our history, and just not his story, but she gave us our history. My family, I had a bunch of cousins,
Right.
6 of us, 28 of us, and Yes, my grandmother had 7 children, and they all had grandchildren. Excuse me, they all had children, and it was 28 of us. So, as you can imagine, we were pretty deep. But yeah, she told us on every hand for the most part, and it's a trip though now because you've seen a lot of things come into light nowadays. Like she been telling us about Hebrews, and people was like, what, y'all, that's Jews people, like you're not white, but she been, now you're saying everyone's speaking about it, about being the original Hebrews. Like she been told us about just our language, how our language and our culture was taken. And she told us, the type of people that we derive from, that we, the type of the essence of, of being communal, of being tribal, So she told us a lot, and also, kind of just not, excuse me, kind of digging into the Bible, putting line on line, precept on precept, understanding that the Bible, was broken up, and it was put together by, 9 companies and 6 groups, So, giving us the information and just,
Wow. Yeah.
I read things that was like, like I said, as it, not just reading the Bible and coming up with some, our own interpretation, but just, giving us the depth of it, of, a lot though. So as I mentioned, I feel like that was a lot of my, education, so to speak, I guess, as far as besides what they teach us in basic high school. I had eventually went to I went to City College and did some general education there. And at that time I wasn't really inspired to do much besides just going to the basic schools. Then I decided to go to Silicon Valley College. I wanted to level up. So I ended up learning. It was a 52-week program, sort of a vocational school, one of those speed through type schools or what have you, and learned HTML and JavaScript and stuff like that. So pretty much that was the education for me. And then I mean, coming up in Fillmore, coming up, I graduated from there. Streets of the hard knocks. So, I learned a whole lot on the streets for sure, as far as, I mean, I feel like learning, in the streets actually helped me to just navigate through my boxing career. Like, that just because, understanding that in that space, you always hear it's dogs, hyenas, snakes, and everything, so coming up in Fillmore, I felt like I wasn't beguiled, just as an average Joe, what have you.
Yeah. Well, hey, I really thank you for that, Kareem, because and I think I've told you before, your grandmother was inspiring to a lot of people, including us, growing up here, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey.
Hmm.
She and my mother was close friends back
Mm.
in the 80s. So that knowledge and wisdom, like you was just speaking about, she's as E40 says, she spread that on the whole
Right,
community. You know what I mean?
right, absolutely.
And we all, even though we was hard headed, but growing
Right,
up, but I can remember Miss Chambers coming outside and said, "Boy, if your mother was standing here,
right,
you would be,
right.
just getting in our
Right.
ear."
No, fact.
So, I know I'm much older than you, and but at the same time, you know, that's why I can see you being the person you are today, and of course your family having such great influence
Right.
on everybody's life, and why you will eventually choose this journey because she was definitely a big part of this community and inspiring people and keeping people whole.
No, cool. Thank you for saying that. And and just understanding though that although I came from had great up bringing, still at the same time, your peers certainly have an influence on you. Although, and I've never been a follower, but just I've got into stuff, as a young, as we do, sometimes as they do, as I was, and at that point, and though as I mentioned, though, I just never had a malice mindset, or where I was just doing something like, I did mischievous things as a youngster, but not no evil or bad things, or just, just some of the things that I would see youngsters do. I just couldn't be a part of it. Like I could never jump nobody, you know, I could never just steal on people. I could never steal from nobody, you know? And I feel like that was definitely because of my upbringing. And at the same time, like I said, you know, your peers, you're around your peers more than your family, actually, you know? So, I mean, you're in the streets. So, you know, like I said, that's how I was able to, you know, navigate you know, being able to, as I mentioned, navigate, just even being able to go hood to hood is, I feel like it's a blessing for me, you know, because a lot of dudes nowadays, they can't go to up the street, you know, and I feel like not only, you know, in my neighborhood, in Fillmore, and it's unfortunately it's not one Fillmore, it should be, but it's maybe 8 hoods sets. You know, I don't not gangs, we don't gang bang, but it's sets, you know, in Fillmore, and actually the one Fillmore. So I'm mentioning other neighborhoods, Hunters Point, Sunnydale, up Nisha Street. You know, man, I'm around all the people for the most part, doing what I need to do, some capacity.
Absolutely. So how many children you got, Kareem, and you what I share a little bit about your immediate family in terms of you as a father and
Hmm.
what's that's like.
Right on. So hey, good question, man. You know, I've never had no one ask me that question, bro. You know, in particular,
I'm
yeah.
trying to be a real
Out of
interviewer, you know.
right. Hey, man, out of all the interviews I done did, man, you hit me with a good one. So yeah, so in particular, I have a beautiful wife that we've been married for 14 years. We've been together for 24 years. And yeah, obviously, man, we were in high school when we met, high school sweethearts. So she been definitely holding me down. You know, they say, yeah, I'm good by myself, but I'm a boss when we're together. You know what I mean? And she
Right.
definitely make me better. You know what I mean? But nevertheless,
Right.
so she's a go getter. She pushes me hard, man. Like, you know, you definitely somebody that's, you know, if she ain't sweating you, she ain't right for you. If she ain't sweating you for to be on your shit, she ain't right for you, you know. And I ain't talking about sweating you as in nagging, you know, but just as in just being on your shit and just kind of getting things together and just make sure you know, being who you should be or who she's, you know,
Right.
you know you can be. But she's actually she works for a company that makes these hybrid batteries. So she does like she's the office manager. It's a huge actually company. It just got like a big sum of money from Mercedes. So they're neck to neck with Tesla basically with their batteries. So also a real estate agent. She actually had an orientation today with new first time home buyers over there with Chablis. I forget which area. I think it was on Evans. But so she's real estate agent, and like I said, she's a hustler. You know, anytime she knows that real estate, the market goes up and down, so she don't put all her eggs in one basket. So she keep the job and you know just be doing other things. So and I also have a daughter. She's 24, and she's in college. She's doing her thing. She's an entrepreneur. She makes all these type of desserts called tempted treats, tempted taste buds. Sorry if I'm messing it up, Rokia. But yeah, but anyways, and she's an entrepreneur doing her thing, and she actually works at a kid child young school, and yeah. So and then I have a 21-year-old. His name is Ayani. I'm sorry, and her name is Rokia, which means she rises on high. That's another thing. My grandmother like named us and gave us all names with meaning. So Rokia means she rises on high. And then I have a Yanni. His name means discipline arranger. And he's 21 years old. And he just graduated from pilot school in Mississippi. So he's a young 21-year-old black pilot he was in school. He graduated from an all-black pilot school called OBAC in Mississippi, Olive Branch, Mississippi. So he just got back this year, and right now he's trying to do his entrepreneur thing while he's getting his degree to become a commercial pilot. So yeah, he's like doing this. He bought some. He leveled up too though. He bought like a spray washer to you know them things that like, yeah, and getting contracts already. Like, you bought that. I'm like, what you going to do with that, bro? I'm like, well, you got to start on our house first. So he like got all the oil off of the under the
Wow.
concrete.
You,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And then I got two at the
I mean,
house
I
now.
know
So
black don't crack, but you know,
no, right, right.
yeah, I know Kareem
So,
black don't crack, but you look old enough to have 21
right,
year old or 20. I mean, it's amazing because when we look, you know, your features, you still look like you could get away with being in your 30s, early 30s or late 20s yourself.
right,
So that's
right on, man. Hey, you look, hey, man, same as well, man. Before it goes back to you full circle, brother. Yeah, no,
yeah,
but
and
I was just saying,
I would say, Kareem, you know, my family from Mississippi too, from Meridian, Mississippi, and Preston, Mississippi, which is very interesting because when you say your son is, you know, attending and getting his pilot, you know, license, it seemed like we all are going full circle. We come from Mississippi,
right, no
migrated
facts,
out here
bro.
to the West,
No
and
facts.
now it's like,
No, bro, and yeah, so and we're going to um our first family reunion in Jackson, Mississippi in July, bro.
wow,
Yeah, yeah,
wow,
first, yeah, just to see everybody. Like a few of them came out here before. You know, my grandmother Elizabeth Chambers, she came from Mississippi. They all migrated from there to the Bay. A lot of people did from Mississippi came to the Bay. I'm not Mississippi, just down south. Period. That was from that
right.
slave. You know, that was them slaves because California didn't have no slaves apparently. But that was so yeah. Everybody was like coming to find a better place. But yeah. But oh, so anyways, I got two at the house. That's at the house now still. And his name is Kokai. That means he summons the people. And yeah, he actually just did summon the people pretty good. He just won TCAL wrestling competition, and he made history at his school, at his high school, the first to win TCAL at his high school. So they've been there for like the school been there for like 70 years or something, and yeah, he was the first to do it. So that was a
Wow,
good
that
look.
is,
He was on a billboard. And then lastly, I got Mr. Linye, and his name Linye. That means try it in truth, meaning try it, whatever you do, try it in, you know, honesty, try it in love, try it in, you know, positivity, you know, whatever you try it in, you know, make sure it's right, you know, so whatever you're trying. So anyways, though, he's a young basketball player and he's just the lover of the house. I feel like he's gonna. This guy debates everything. I feel like he's gonna be the next attorney, but he's good, bro. Like, oh my goodness, it'd be cracking me up, bro. I'll be having to Google some stuff. He'd be telling me, I'm like, no, no way. Like, yeah, bro. I'm like, yeah, no, he be on the
that is
stuff.
a trip, bro. Now that's excellent that you know when they're young too, like you can see already where you know pretty much you know what your child is gifted in, and
Absolutely, absolutely,
you know tap into that and give them the resources and tell them to keep going because basically they'll show you exactly who they're supposed to be at an early age. So I know you're a proud father. So what's going on with the business world now? We know you know the boxing part of it, but you have businesses, you're an entrepreneur, you know your name is mentioned in all type of circles. What's going on with your business and what you currently are doing in business and what's some of the things you want to do in the future?
So yeah, as far as business, I so actually was just granted the district attorney's grant that allowed me to fund my nonprofit program for 3 years, and it's called Soul Champ, and that's actually my passion project. There, I the youngsters learn tech then technique, so they learn JavaScript to how to build mobile apps, and from after the tech, they we learn technique, and they learning some boxing skills and self defense and for the most part life skills. Things that aren't necessarily talked about. We have certain discussions, and after we work out, we unwind with in a quiet room, and I play the conga drum and they're doing a breathing exercises where they do this breathing exercises. I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Wim Hof. He like broke all these Guinness Book records with with his breathing skills or what have you. Google him though. His name is Wim Hof. He's pretty dope. But we do these breathing exercises, and as I mentioned, I'm speaking positive affirmations, and that's just we finish class off like that. And then we feed them. So that's my main. All right, you going? All right, bro. I hate you tonight, bro. Take care, my brother. Absolutely. Yeah. I was saying, so that's my nonprofit program called Soul Champ, and then I recently opened up, well, not too recent, but about 3 years ago, a cannabis club called Authentic 415, and that's at 165 Mississippi Street, about a mile about a mile from the Chase Center. But so that business been 3 years. Realistically, that business. I mean, people think it's a cash cow, but just to let y'all know, it is not by no means. Taxation is crazy, like 32%, and we get no write-offs that other industries that any other industries get. We have the highest tax bracket out of any other industry that's around. So it ain't what you may think. You feel me?
Right.
Hopefully after the federal legalization, we may see some relief, but it ain't what you think. But I can't say, at the same time, we're not going under. So I am blessed, still blessed. We're not going under. A lot of shops have shut down within the last year and a half, So I can't say I'm blessed to be still keep my head above water for the most part, But again, that's I'm looking to make a few changes and just to bring more traffic to the door. And then I've been working on this massage wrap called The Dozen, and The Dozen, like Dozen, Dozen, and it's a dozen motors and a vibrator. It's vibration motors. So imagine like a leg wrap that you can put on anything, like around your thigh, around your back, and you just wrap it around you, and it's wireless. And interestingly enough, I came up with this idea probably about 6 years ago, and I made like a mock-up myself out of some stuff that I bought and put together. Then I ended up meeting a mechanical engineer doing Uber. He was doing Uber, and we ended up chopping it up. So him and I started working. Got a business relationship working on that, and it's taken a few years. But within a few years, someone actually came up with the idea. Of course, after a while, the ideas, people figure stuff out. Because at first, originally, there was no wireless ones, and there was no wraps. They were like these big pads. They were too big. You couldn't take nowhere with you, and it wasn't mobile. You couldn't be mobile with it. But so I've ordered them and returned them, of course. But I've ordered them to see like what type of product they had, and this is see if I can get any ideas. And they don't have anything on the dozen by far, so I'm not worried about it. And not only that, it shows that it's kind of like what we're looking for industry research. For the most part, it shows that there's been that they can sell. It shows that there's a market for it. So that's not a bad thing. First, I was like, oh shit, somebody stole my idea, or they got it. It's over. And my folks are like, no, it's good.
First response,
proof of concept. Yeah. So so that was cool. Like I said though, and just compared though to our motors, doing way better. So and then my children and my wife and my dog Musa, I got a German Shepherd named Musa. That's enough to keep me occupied, keep me busy, man.
Wow. Yeah, you got a lot on your plate. I know. So are you still doing the shows with your promotion company?
Yeah, so I'm actually looking to do something this summer for the most part, but those, to be honest, like those shows, unless you're really getting sponsors, those don't be really wins like that. Not even, they just be, you know what I mean? You better be able to break even with some of them shows. A lot. What's up, bro?
We experienced that, right?
we was in that space, man. But so we had a huge center that we had, so we had a venue, bro. We had liquor licenses, and they necessarily wasn't no huge wins like that, right? So you can imagine if you don't got, you can't get a buck on a cup, or if you know what I mean? It's kind of, but for the most part, I
Man,
do.
it's crazy, Kareem. I was just looking at a facility in Oakland, and it's like it's just a typical facility where you could have an event, and it averaged out to be 60,000 just to rent the place for 10 hours.
Whoa.
I'm like, are you crazy?
But it's like, how you supposed to expect to bring in 60,000 on just the door, unless you get unless you get the full liquor
Yeah,
bar, unless you get the full bar, and then 60, damn, man, you gotta, yeah, they make it hard,
I
bro.
don't get it.
Literally,
Yeah. So, the Heritage Center is about to open back up, right? Where we was at. And actually, the grand opening is this coming Thursday on March 28th.
okay.
What are your thoughts about, with the whole thing that happened with the Fillmore Heritage Center? Because, like you say, we was there, we was managing and the building, and it looked like for a moment we was going to do a victory lap, and
Absolutely.
then all of a sudden
Yeah, man.
everything went bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so I'm not too aware of who's actually the runners, the forerunners on that, with the like, if it's SFACC, who's actually running, who's all a part. I do know P is still a part of it. I'm not sure what type of events. I don't have any idea. Maybe you can enlighten me a little bit. What's going on? What they
Yeah,
expect?
so yeah, they haven't really finalized an agreement for the entertainment part, but the Pia did mention in a recent meeting that the food pop up, or I guess they call it the what is that word? Uh, Culinary. The culinary part of it seems to be close to, for them to do an agreement with an outside vendor. I believe a company called Red Rooster was supposed to take over 1,300
Mm,
and in that venue, and we've been Marcus Books is in one of the little gallery sections, along with San Francisco Housing Development Corporation,
okay.
SFHDC.
You
But
said
it's still in the working.
okay. Okay. You said Marcus Books.
Yeah, Marcus Books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. It's finally able to
But
grab a slot. Hmm.
what's your thoughts though, Kareem? One of the things that we always talk about, even though we may still be living here, or we got family and friends in Fillmore and Frisco, we can't all none of us can deny the city is dying in terms of population for Black people, right? What's your thoughts on the future of us in this city? Do you think that we should be like more so looking out and expanding, or should we be pulling our resources sources together and try to bring back what was
All
lost?
right. Yeah. Um. I like to bring back things. Try to bring back some. Revitalize. Um. And at the same time, I just feel like, for one, I mean, if they had a plan, for one, they need to get at them damn reparations up. For one, you know what I mean. That'll give, maybe, like, even if they had something in the reparation plan to where, it had to be invested in the community. You know what I mean? Where you can't just go spend this X amount of money. You gotta, do something around somewhere. You gotta have this business plan. You know what I mean? Like that. That'll
Yeah,
revitalize it. That'll be awesome, because ultimately it's kind of like they say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But we haven't been given no damn boots to even, so it's kind of hard to do, and Black folks make the best out of nothing. But like I said, though, I feel like, though, it's still enough of us, that everybody that know each other for the most part, that can, keep it maintained before we all the way pushed out, and then it's like, because we see what they're doing with the history books. Like Fillmore they won't even know about Fillmore no more. They'll be like, hard who?
right, right,
Benzo who?
right, right.
There'll be murals probably put up, like, eventually, but those will be painted over, So I feel like, and with not having too many assets in the community. It's like, damn, it's like, these buildings, they can get us up out of there when they want to, you know what I mean? Or say they're going to eventually put us back in there and don't, it's just like, it's still shit that they owe, bro. I just feel like we can't go out, bro. We can't go out. Like Filmo got is resilient, have always been resilient, and I feel like that with the spirit of of the planters being, right on Fillmore, bro. We can't go out, it's just like, I feel like it's a lot of us that's actually in position right now, as far as, politicians, what have you, that can be making more moves. They need to make more radical moves, because you're seeing other people making radical moves and nothing happening to them, you know what I mean? And not saying anything as in like illegal, but making them a big move, a big statement, you know what I mean? And just make their ass veto some shit, you know what I mean? Or
Right,
like
right.
come up with something and then just do something that, like they gotta jump out on faith, so to speak. But faith without works is dead. So they gotta, work on and move on, and like I said, make something happen, do something radical. Period.
Well, what do you think? I mean, so Kareem, one of the things that makes it very difficult how we grew up in our area. So, like you had said earlier, right? We got all these different sets, right? Even though it should be one Filmo, it's not, right? But what even is more frustrating is trying to bring the ones that everybody else look up to together. For example, right? Uh, Messi Moore just got out,
Yeah.
and we all know that through social media, there's always seem to be some issues among each. I ain't gonna even call it beefs, but issues on what people may hear or gossip, that happen. Uh, in your, from your thinking, how can we get the ones in the room that got the most influence? Because people like yourself, like me, Mess, and others who are still around and somewhat have survived uh, from the past could inspire many more people if they actually seen us working together,
Hmm.
like you was just saying, and not going out or not us having these little tic tac issues among each other. And that to me appears to be the most difficult thing that we have always faced. How do you bring even the G's or the ones who have the greater influence together?
Right. I feel like I feel like you reach out to the, I mean, like you said, to the G's. And the question is, though, if they have influence, though, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these cats don't even have influence on the younger generation, because they either scared or they just ain't having, I guess just had a basic conversation, or you know what I mean, or just even how you and I talk. A lot of times they don't have these talks with these youngsters, or I mean, you ain't got to necessarily be telling them nothing, reprimanding them or nothing, but just even talking, having a decent casual conversation. But going back to your question, I feel like if it's always worth an attempt, you know what I mean? And having let them know it's gonna be food there, man. There's a few people that are just trying to talk, you know what I mean? And I feel like for the most part, those that will come is the ones that we only need to work with anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Because if you don't want to be part of this, you're part of the problem, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like I feel like I feel like though I do feel like we could potentially, because I don't feel like it's necessarily, I'm sure it has though, but in the recent past, I don't feel like it's been like besides like town hall meetings or something like that. But that's everybody, not the G's. That's not the intermediate. I'm sorry, that's not like the close group. You know what I mean? For the most part.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm just like, Kareem, I've been for years saying among us, right? Like even when we was at the Heritage Center, that there's always should be a time that us as black men get together, even if it have to be no disrespect to black women, of course, because they always got our back and they always on the front line. But when does we come together and have like a men's only powwow so we can be stronger and in lockstep, because like you say, a lot of times we're just not even talking,
Right.
and it's always some outside influence
Right.
that divide us before we can even come together. We're already being divided, trying to come together. And I think we don't really see that really haven't happened. We haven't had like a all, other than like you said, some town hall meetings. I know from religion perspective,
Right.
like in the nation, you have men's only meetings, you have women only meetings, and it works out because
Right.
basically once you break bread and build yourself up as, first of all, as men, then you can know how to deal and engage respectfully with the women.
Right.
And I know in Hebrew or in certain other that's exactly why,
Absolutely.
yeah, that keeps us stronger than most people who don't have that foundation. But I've been trying to figure out, how do we trickle that over to, or trickle that down into just common brothers who just seem to be just lost. They may
Right.
not have the ability to see that you gotta inspire your children, and settle down. And it's nothing wrong with being married. It's
Right.
nothing wrong, you know, being a young businessman. There's nothing wrong with really investing in yourself
No,
first.
absolutely,
And
man. Facts. Cause I be telling these youngsters, bro, don't be on no bum shit, man. I just tell them you on some bum shit. Period. That's just bum shit.
bums.
Yeah, absolutely. I call them yums, young bum. Um, no, but yum. No, hey, but I was gonna say that as far as the as getting people together though, I think that's possible. Oh, Mr. Fab had actually did something that was pretty awesome about a month ago called Thug Therapy, and he had a pretty good turnout. I had pulled up there, and it was like a lot of people, a lot of thugs in that thing, and he was just kind of talking about different things and kind of just had somebody just kind of people were just kind of venting for the most part, and just talking about different things. And it was just good just to see them gathering up, gathering together. I guess I don't want to say there wasn't no objective, because people were able to get things off their chest, but I guess we would like to have maybe something geared towards what we about to do next. Like, what next? How do we move? We got some people in high places that we may, maybe need to knock on their door, but nevertheless, yeah, man, you know how summer seems to get kind of hot, and
Yeah.
not, no pun intended, but yeah, so I think this is
Well,
about
I mean,
a good time.
yeah. Well, so first of all, so you retired completely from boxing? Is that off the table?
Um, well, not necessarily off. I did retire, but yeah, I mean, if the right opportunity had presented itself, I would have, fought. But I just me taking those last minute notices and shit. That shit don't be good for my health. It's not good.
Yeah,
Although I've never
yeah.
been knocked down, I've never been dropped. But it's not good. And I'm older now, and it's just like they offer me like they may offer some decent money, but like a week notice, 2 week notice. People are like, well, you supposed to just stay ready. Well, I keep in shape, but it's hard to stay 10, 12 round ready. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
this guy's been training for damn near maybe 10 to 12 weeks, and I only had 2 weeks to train, 3 weeks to train. And
almost like a setup, huh?
yeah. And a lot of times I know how it happens is because they either maybe their opponent got hurt or something and they need somebody.
Right.
Or though they want to get a good name on their record. You know what I mean? Like try to get, oh, Mayfield's never been knocked out. Let's try to get him a last minute notice, knock him out, or set a good statement. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm good. Like I said, I'm not needy for the money like that, Um, but if I had the right opportunity, though, I was actually recently going to be on the Devin Haney card. I was talking to Bill. I've been on the card, but as I mentioned, though, I'm not fighting for a few dollars. I don't need. You know.
Yeah, because man, you already know, Kareem. You inspired many, many people from here and abroad. And you made me think of my cousin Michael Penn. You know, he was on his way. That's one
Hmm.
of the things that he wanted to do
Hmm.
before he lost his life.
Mm.
And you know, there's many ways of looking at opportunity and stuff, but yeah, I would just say, of course, I think we talked about this before. I'm not in no way saying get around, because I know it's a health reality. We all witness Muhammad Ali and many boxers taking punishment and over time, that hurt them dearly, right? But it's definitely a sport that if you don't stay in too long, like what's the brother Ward from Oakland, he just got in, did his thing. It can really inspire people, because man, I can tell you, when people saw you in that ring, man, it was like, sometime I was like, yeah, I know him. You know what I mean? That's my brother there. It was always okay. Yeah, we really can do something different and get on a major stage.
Right. No,
And
absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I think. That's me. And I don't, to be honest, I don't realize how I've inspired people until I hear somebody say, like, bro. I mean, they'll say, like, bro. I've heard people like, bro, I was in the pen, bro, when we was watching you, bro,
yeah,
and you made us so proud, bro. You made us so proud. And I was like, I mean, and that's like, that's one thing. Here's somebody in the pen, they like, man, you gotta make me get out and be on my shit. You know what I mean? Like, bro, just seeing nigga, we used to chill with each other, bro. Like, nigga, I used to tell people that's my boy,
it was.
So it's like, he's
I'm
like, bro, you
telling
make me
you,
get out
man.
and be on my shit, bro. Like just hearing that, I'm like, that's dope, bro. Like hearing like, and I actually never had the opportunity to see how I feel, but my son just won the T-Cal tournament, as I mentioned earlier, and when he went against a pit bull, this dude that was good. My son like almost got pinned 3 times and got out of it 3 times and finished strong, bro. I was so excited after that, and then I told my wife, I'm like, I feel like Kareem. That's how we used to feel. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
get it.
Man,
Because I've never been close to nobody like that I actually was
we
inspired
inspire
to.
each other, as you know,
Right,
Chris. No, for real, for real. We inspire each other. Now that leads me to the question too, because we all got to deal with this, and it's not the N word, it's not the the B word,
right,
it's the H word, haters.
right,
And I know for like yourself, with some initial and then success in the boxing world and the business world, we all deal with jealousy, envy a
right,
different way. Some of us, turn inward and maybe stop being so talkative among people. Some of
right,
us, lash out because we're like, man,
yeah,
why people not happy to see me win?
right,
How have you dealt with that? Because you come from a circle where people are successful. Your brother, for example,
right,
LaRon is successful. He's like
right,
a self-made,
right,
individual
right,
that inspiring is an understatement, because just what he's been able to pull off in the last 10, 15 years is amazing if you know his journey, like you
right,
know your journey.
right.
So how do you deal with that pressure of people we done grew up with that sometimes might be like, man, I ain't talking to Kareem.
No, right. Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, for the most part, I know. Yeah, so I feel like once I just feel like I'm so kind. Same thing for my brother. That it's like if you're not, if like if you're not feeling my vibe, or if you're not feeling what I got going on, that it's something wrong with you. To be honest, like because I've always been so giving. And my name Kareem means generous. So I've always been a generous person. So like now, like if you're you know, I guess I shy, shun from them, shun away from them because, you know, I feel like I've always been a person that I've not allowed, people to put their energy on me and me hold on to that energy, because, like if I see that, like, they looking like that. Fuck them. Literally, I would say like the quick in my mind, like, and then like literally be acting like nothing happened and like we good. I'm not mad at them, or I'm not, my attitude don't change. Although I may be like, this nigga look like why he was looking crazy with me like that. In my mind, I'm thinking that, but unless he do something or step out of line, I don't let it bother me because, like I said, at the end of the day, I know I'm going home to my family. I know that I can't let that energy just stay on me. So there has been a time though where things though I've had people do interviews and kind of speak up on me. You know what I mean? That at the same time feel like okay, whereas I forget where was somebody had got like on this one of the free what is it? Excuse me, the one of those channels or whatever, like the local access channels, and they had like a show and it kind of just was speaking down on me, and I was just like, I said a lot of times I let it go over my head, but I just feel like about a few months prior to that, I was just doing an interview with y'all, like you know what I mean, and like you'll speak on me and like say I was done. I had there's like, oh yeah, he's done after he had seen my fight. I had for a guy that was my first time doing my promoting a fight, and I seen that promoting and training for a fight, it ain't what it is. So basically, I'm saying that to say is I didn't look how I should have looked. Although I brought an undefeated fighter to fight, I hadn't fought in 3 years. I brought an undefeated fighter just to show people I was still ready. But again, I wasn't I didn't knock him out. I wasn't the regular hard hitter. But they was just like, yeah, he's done, and all saying all this shit. And I'm just like, damn. Maybe they could have said I could have. And I don't know, like, we're supposed to be folks, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And I understand that is your job to be a commentator or what have you, or, interviewer, but, just the way they spoke on it, I just wasn't feeling. So I'm saying that to say is I had to get at them. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you ain't finna just be speaking on me like that. Especially if I mess with you, and I kind of just got at them like, what's good? Like, and just kind of addressed it, some shit just got to be addressed. And sometimes at the end of the day, you kind of gotta, just
be the bigger person. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be corporate always. You can't be corporate. Goddamn it! Sometimes you gotta. They want to act the fool. You gotta act the fool with them. I'm sorry,
But
at the same time,
still to speak to your blessing. You blessed, and those of who walk that walk of knowing exactly what they want to do and become that. Envision it. I heard Farrakhan say that. Which one would you rather be, the sandpaper or the wood? Because the haters is like the sandpaper. They're not the wood. They're not going to get sharper. Actually, once sandpaper have done its purpose, you throw it away.
Right.
So we got to always stay where God is trying to, Almighty, the Almighty is trying to keep us being sharpened as wood. Instead, like what you saying, those people who you may sit down with, or you just hear this chatter like, wait a minute, man, why are you so critical about my every step? If anything, they should ask you, like I just asked you, or have you retired? What? What I mean? Let you throw the ball to you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then I mean, yeah, and I've always been straight up though. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I know if I could have given a better show, what have you. But again, I won, got the victory, and yeah, I moved forward to fight another day.
Well, what I would say too, Kareem, because again, we are, the especially us now in the days we living in. There's a lot of suffering on how we look at our own image. So black men in general feel almost just they have this defeated mentality. So when we watching somebody we grew up with, it's an immediate, awkward situation because now they thinking like, why does he deserve it and I don't have it?
Right.
And like you, I try to, because it's not easy now, as I mean, because people think I just like hella successful. I'm like, no, I'm just working hard. I work
Right.
hard.
Absolutely.
I work
Absolutely.
hard as hell, man.
Right. Right.
And but it bothers me though to know that there's others just like us who really that we've been knowing all our life, and they just don't realize that your real fight is not with the next person, is with yourself.
Hmm.
So I know Carlos Levexier used to always say that. He used to say, "Hey man, just beat up the person that you were yesterday, and
Right.
you'll see yourself elevate."
Right. I
And
like that.
I know for like people like you, that's why I've always tried to just give you encouraging words. Again, when we saw you and Ben Baptiste in the
Hmm.
ring and
Right.
in New York City, I mean, we
Right.
shut down a coffee shop when you
Right.
fought
Right.
in New York City that time. We shut
That's
down the
dope.
coffee shop. It's like this
Right.
Kareem day. So,
That's
it
dope.
was definitely sent shockwaves, like you said, to people probably in prison, people who you maybe didn't even realize that was following you and paying attention to you like
Right.
that. But
Right.
again, I think that's all attributed to, of course, your faith, your belief, your grandmother who have inspired many here and afar, and of course your mother,
Absolutely. I
which
was just
is
gonna say I can't. I was definitely have to speak
go
about
ahead,
her.
yeah, go ahead, because boy, your mother, go ahead. I'll give you the
No, right
say what
on,
you gonna say.
man. Yeah, man. My mom. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, she is the offspring of her mother. And she's a split image. She looks like her for one physically, but spiritually, and she's as my grandmother has taught me. My mother has continued on. What my grandmother taught us. Through that time, my grandmother unfortunately had died of cancer some years back, but my mom had continued on with the knowledge, with the esoteric knowledge, and man, my mom's a fighter. My mom's a loving, giving person, and I feel like I got a lot of that from her though. Is me, giving back to the community because I mentioned I had recently got the district attorney's grant, but before that, 12 years before that, I was doing my mentorship program for free. It was, I'm sorry, without being paid, I should say. I was doing it at different CBOs, community-based organizations. But I get that from her, giving back to the people. And, at the end of the day, I've seen her, people say, well, who's the people? Of course, our people, our tribe, and also, any people that's in help, that's in need, that we can. We know that you can't save everybody, but I feel like my mom has never been, it's just like, she's all as light as she is, she's all pro-black, you know, uh, and she's all, for her people, but she's never steered away from giving back to other races of people. So that's always left a um, just an imprint on my mind that it's not about the color of your skin or even necessarily the uniform you have on. It's about the character that's inside of you, the spirit in you. And man, like I said, she's just a awesome lady.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I bear witness, because me, I've been for years wearing the political hat, and man, when we was in these fights, and your mother was present, and sometimes it would be situations that, of course, she brings that wisdom, that knowledge and understanding, that presence, of look, playtime is over,
Right,
and it's really a wonderful thing to see because she's sharing, on all that which a lot of times our community, some people don't. Mother may not necessarily be at home or never
right.
necessarily had a connection with their immediate family. So she's like the mother of the community. So
Yeah,
that's definitely something
yes,
that
indeed.
we cannot underscore.
Right,
You
right.
know, uh, uh, on the other note, too, I know you lost your younger brother, right? Your
Yeah, I
younger
lost my
brothers
younger brother,
to
Charles Kendall.
yeah. What's what's the situation with the Matt with the bar police? Was that the bar police? And
Yeah, it's just about it's been like 4 years now. It's crazy because it seems like yesterday. But my
right,
younger brother, Salim, was with his wife, excuse me, his fiance and his two children, and they were at the BART station, and story goes that he got into it with some panhandler guy that's usually out there selling things or just a lot of stolen things or what have you. But for whatever reason, my brother got into was actually on his way from the BART. They just left. They had groceries heading from San Francisco. They had moved to Oakland just maybe 2 months prior to that. And yeah, my brother got into the altercation with him, and apparently the guy had a gun. My brother disarmed him. He knew self-defense. He knew Kung Fu karate, boxing. So he disarmed him. The gun dropped. Apparently, the story was though before we found out any of this that the guy had the gun and what have you. That the police officer heard a gunshot. He ran across the street. He seen my brother with a gun, so the police shot my brother with a gun in his hand. So fast forward though, a whole year later, but during with in the media they were tarnishing his name and just kind of saying that he was this young guy, he had a gun, he refused to drop the gun. So eventually we was able to go see the police cam footage, and someone had they didn't want anybody to film they didn't want nobody to bring a camera in, but someone, I think maybe it was an attorney, who knows, but somebody brought a camera in and filmed the shooting. And so, anyhow, they released it to the media to show that my little brother was not holding a fucking gun. Excuse my language. That my little brother did not have a gun, that they were wrestling, that there was a gun on the scene, um, but there was no gun. So, yeah, so he shot my brother 3 times in the back, and killed him. Yeah, and yeah, we had to. Man, it was a long journey, man, of us protesting and marching, and just trying to, because they were trying to give him some immunity, what have you, to where he wasn't liable for anything. Although we seen the video, although the forensics came back and there was no gunpowder on my brother's hands, there was gunpowder on the other guy's hands because it was his gun. No fingerprints either. So I did mention that the officer ran across the street because he heard a gunshot. Yeah, so I kind of skipped from thing to another, but he ran across the street because he heard a gunshot. He was at the bar. My brother was across the street from the bar already, just leaving the bar. And when the officer ran over there, he said he seen my little brother with a gun. That's why he shot. But so as I mentioned, the police were going to continue to paint this narrative and tarnish his name. And then the video was released to the media. Then they started changing their tone, and was just like, well, they just changed the whole tone because they knew they were busted. And anyhow, we had to take it to trial. It took about a year or so. It went to a mistrial, and then took it to a trial again. Whole another year, another mistrial. So imagine that. Being going through the same type of case, hearing the same evidence, hearing the same gunshots, hearing the same your brother yell, it's pretty traumatizing. But after the third case, we was able to bring it to we brought it to the Superior Court, and we was victorious and beat their ass. And now, like, I forget the case number, but my brother would be referred to if anything like that ever happens with a situation like that. They'll refer to case 295 in the case of Shalim Tendo. So it's in the history. So man, that was victory, man. That was a blessing, bro. Yes. So my mom fought on.
yeah, well,
Victory.
yeah, it's definitely something typical, just making me think about his life and Oscar, Grant and all the others, that have died. We fought years trying to get justice for Mario Woods over here in San
Right,
Francisco. It's just unbelievable. And I know, a lot of times people say, well, whether it's a court settlement or, officers slapped on the hand for what
right,
they have done. I say like, well, you didn't, you really didn't win. But in reality, you know, as the
right. Exactly. Really didn't win. Facts.
yeah, but in reality, God is going to have the final say so in terms of justice because we call it the injustice system.
Right.
So, y'all had done, I commend y'all. Y'all done definitely, kept the determination and kept the pressure on,
Man, a
which we
lot
know.
of protesting, bro. A whole lot of protesting, man. Like days, days, days. And I mentioned this is over 3 years. So like we couldn't just protest one day. These like days. My mom was like relentless with it, bro. Resilient, relentless. And we're going there with our all white. We have, our signs, bullhorns, and we'll just march around the bar station, and we'll march around the Oakland OPD. Although it wasn't OPD, it's just like they still is all in the same
Right, the
realm.
jurisdiction, yeah.
Yeah,
But Kareem, your family, your mother, and all that again, that inspired others, and shout out to Sister Sala. I know,
right.
she as well has been on the front line trying to get justice for her
Yes,
son and the
yes.
quadruple
Atlanta.
homicide that happened over here. So that's
Yeah,
what you got to do. And no one, we can't fathom the love of a mother when it comes to
right,
her child.
right,
So we already know that if you want a war, if you want a battle,
right.
do something to a
So
mother's child.
maybe for real facts.
So again, it may appear, everything happens for a reason, but I just know, and I know you know the same, that nothing is in vain. Your brother lost as well as other, none of that is in vain, and it's just only a matter of time
Right.
that as the books say, the Lord will wipe away all our tears. Well, I know you're a busy, busy, busy person, Mr. Mayfield. I just wanted to tap in with you. Is it anything I missed that you wanted to cover, or just let the people know before we sign off?
No, thanks for asking. Though, I definitely have to mention my pops, man. I know he probably, if he listens to this, he like, man, at the end of the interview, no, man,
Yeah, right.
no, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you was in the back of my mind. I was just trying to see where I was gonna slide you in, bro. But shout out to my dad, man. My dad was definitely a great dad. He always lived. We actually lived with him early on in our life, but him and my mom separated, but he always made sure he stayed involved in our lives and just taught us a lot. We would go see him every other weekend, and people was wondering like, wow, how did we know how to do a lot of stuff that the white dudes did? Because my dad put us on. Like he taught us how to ski, he taught us how to swim. He taught us. He put us on to different foods, Indian foods and just exotic foods, and he showed us a lot. He showed us definitely a lot. As far as sports and tennis. Yes, another thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like he exposed us to a whole lot of different things that I feel like I wouldn't have seen if he obviously wasn't in my life. My mom did her best, but that's a man. A lot of that was a man job, and he actually did fulfill that job. And yeah, man, shouts out to my dad. Not LaRon Mayfield. His name is LaRone Mayfield.
LeBron Mayfield.
LaRone. My brother is LaRon. My brother is LaRone. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hyphen.
all right.
Hyphen. But yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, right on, man. Appreciate you having me, man. Some great
Yeah,
questions.
definitely. Yeah, Kareem. Hey, well, man, thank you for coming on, and we definitely gonna connect on future. We got all type of stuff we got to do, as you know. Really, everything is right and exact. You at the right age. Keep on pushing, man. And again, congratulations and thank you for just stepping up and being accountable, and being the person you are today.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me, brother.
Peace out. You had a good day. Okay, there you have it. We was just speaking what Kareem Mayfield. And again, if you like to see more Daniel's podcast show, um, YouTube channel, please click subscribe. Um, and we thank you for tuning in. Until next time.